Hello everyone, welcome to Indie Comics Review. This is the show where every week I review 3 indie comic books. If that's the kind of content that you find interesting, be sure to hit the like button and the subscribe button. And down below there's a link to my alternative city shop where I sell comic books that I make, t-shirts, buttons, pins, and all kinds of other original tchotchkes and things that you might want to check out. The comics I'm reviewing this week feature 2 books that feature a family theme, one an outer space theme, and one kind of a suburban hellscape theme in the Artist Alley segment. So let's get started right away with the first book, which is The Deadliest Bouquet, #1. And it is written by Erica Schultz and drawn by Carola Borelli. And it is from the House of Ideas Image Comics. Jasmine Hawthorne was a hard-edged Nazi hunter who trained her children well in the art of espionage. But in 1998, when her complicated past finally catches up with her, it's up to her 3 estranged daughters, Rose, Poppy, and Violet, to solve their mom's murder, if they can avoid killing each other in the process. Deadliest Bouquet was a book I've been meaning to get to for a while. I think number 2 is out already, maybe number 3 is about to come out soon. But finally got around to it, thanks to delays and all that stuff. But there's a theme in Deadliest Bouquet, as you may have picked up. The Nazi hunting mom actually operated a flower shop, and she was murdered in said flower shop. She is discovered by one of her daughters, Poppy, and all the daughters are named, Rose, Poppy, and Violet. So there's a theme there as well. And one of the daughters is very dutiful. Another daughter is the complete opposite. She's kind of like the wild child, maybe the black sheep. She's the last one to show up. And there's a lot of sibling rivalry going on here. Now, if just sibling rivalry alone is all that this book would have to offer, I would probably not be so interested in it. But at some point, amidst all the bickering and all the competition between the daughters after their mother's murder, there is a secret that's revealed that the family's been keeping, that I'd like to see what the writer's going to do with that story point going forward. So that'll probably get me to pick up the second issue. Before that, I was thinking there's just a little bit too much bickering going on between the characters, and it just wasn't holding my attention. Then I saw that, and it had kind of a decent ending. The writing, I should say the dialogue, seemed a little bit stilted at times, but I'm just going to stick around for an issue 2 to see what they do with this one revelation that was kind of cool. So Deadliest Bouquet, I've been meaning to get to it for a while. Glad I finally got to it from Image. I think it might deserve an issue 2 tryout. The next book is The Vineyard, #1. It's written by Brian Hawkins, and art is by Sam Cavella, and it is on Aftershock Comics. The Vineyard is a family-owned winery that sows and reaps by the blessings of the great god of wine and revelry, Dionysus. However, the vine's family's patron god requires complete devotion in the form of 4 sacrificial killings a year before each harvest. This has been done in unfettered obeisance, but all of that changed when the family's patriarch, Diadache Vines, was in a horrible accident that left him paralyzed and in a wheelchair. Now, the sacrificial and murderous duties of the Vines family have fallen to the wife and matriarch, Maranatha Vines. With harvest season fast approaching and the family short of their annual sacrificial killings, Maranatha's struggles with her conscience puts all of her family, husband, son, and daughter in jeopardy. Written by Brian Hawkins, Black Cotton, Believe in the Name, Don't Ever Blink, and illustrated by Sami Cavella, The Heathens, Undone by Blood, and Abbott. The Vineyard is what happens when family values and otherworldly obligations collide. One of the differences between this book and Black Cotton, just the artwork by Sami Cavella is much better than the artist that was on Black Cotton. The book is in color. I guess that helps in some cases, but usually black and white color doesn't make a difference. But it's interesting that the family dynamic is similar in this book as it is in Black Cotton. This family of wine that owns a vineyard, every year they make a sacrifice to the god Dionysus. That's been going on for as long as they've been in business. But now the patriarch has been in an accident, and he's still ruling with an iron fist, but he's forcing his wife to do his bidding and do all the horrible things that he had to do when he was in charge. So you can see the illustrations show that these wine spirits are surrounding certain people at certain times and almost like possessing them and getting them to do horrible acts to people, among which forced sacrifices every wine season among them. You can see that the matriarch, she really doesn't want to do this, but she's thrown into this situation where she has to continue the tradition to keep the family business going above all else. And there's a sense of duty there that she feels obligated to her family, even though this is a horrible thing, and their entire business and their lives are just built on this bizarre, brutal, murderous practice. So that alone keeps me interested in the story as far as picking up subsequent issues. And the story deals with, along with family dynamics, blind devotion to religion and to rituals, among other things that this book deals with. And it deals with it pretty well in this first issue, at least. Yeah, the first issue was pretty impressive because of the artwork by Cavella. It just really almost haunting, and it fits this story so well. So maybe this will help it come out to a better outcome than Black Cotton. But I hate to keep dwelling on Black Cotton, but I was so disappointed in that story for so many reasons I won't go into right now. But yeah, this is a completely different story. Clean the slate. People move on. People get better with their work. I get that. And the Vineyard is its own story. And the Vineyard is definitely worth an issue too. And to see how this story progresses. Sure, yeah, I'll stick around for at least another issue to see what's happening with it. The next book is Spectral #1. It is conceived, created, written, drawn, colored, lettered, you name it, by Juan Doe, and is on the Aftershock Comics label. A quartet of quintessential horror tales from the multi-talented Juan Doe, presented in a single prestige format one-shot. Spectral explores the unnerving spectrum of fear through 4 terrifying stories rooted in a cosmic game of twisted karma and phantasmagoric terror. What is at stake when sentient technology manipulates a man with projections of his desired self? What are the consequences of excommunicating a member of the 9 planets? What is discovered when an explorer travels to Mars to ascend the tallest mountain in the solar system? What happens when a scientist aboard the International Space Station is confronted with the most horrifying aspects of humankind? In what realm of fear do these stories exist? Spectral. Written and illustrated by Juan Doe, Bad Reception, Dark Arc, Animosity, The Rise, Spectral is a horror anthology from deep within the recesses of the mind of one of comics' most prolific talents. I can't argue with any of that because, number one, how have I not heard of Juan Doe before? And number 2, how did I miss Spectral? Spectral came out way back in May of this year, and I remember seeing it in the previews. I picked it up a couple weeks later, but it just got buried, as many things often do, and I finally got around to reading it, and man, it is such a good story. It's a prestige format, which if every book could be prestige format, oh my God, it would just be so much more enjoyable. It's $7.99, worth every cent. 4 standalone stories, all of them involving space in some way or another. The first of this guy who had aspirations of being an astronaut for all his life, and then he just does something stupid, and he's kicked out of the space program. So he's just sulking his life. He's just eating potato chips and pizzas on the couch and just getting out of shape. Then all of a sudden he decides to get back into shape, and this artificial intelligence thing just whips him into shape, and you can't imagine what happens to him. The next one is all the 9 planets. 9 in air quotes, because Pluto has been excommunicated as a planet, as a lot of people know, and they're represented as people. It's like this council of the solar system, and that's translated into human form. The third one is this man who's became a billionaire in his teens. He made it his first billion before he was 20. Then he made billions more. And it seems to me he just got bored. So what I'm going to do, I'm not even going to just go to be the first man on Mars. I'm going to be the first guy to climb the tallest mountain on Mars. Let's get even more esoteric on it, So he does that. He's got this autonomous, this incredible suit that he spent his entire fortune on to guarantee that he gets to Mars, and he's like a badass Iron Man suit that has everything you can imagine inside of it. It's self-contained, and the final story is the International Space Station. The International Space Station. There's been, let's say, something has gone wrong on the International Space Station, and it's a horrifying conclusion in that story. Wow. This is by far my favorite read of the week, even though it happened, how many months ago. This is a week for me because I just read it. And it's just beautiful to look at. Juan Doe, I love creators that can do everything, and he does everything well. Juan Doe has, he just created just this little masterpiece here of science fiction. If you can find this book, and you can find it, I'm sure it's, I've seen it in shops around, and you can get it on places like mycomicshop.com. For probably even maybe a little less than cover price if you're lucky. But pick up Spectral. Spectral is worth the read. It's worth your time. I can't imagine not giving this 5 stars. This is a great book. This week's Artist Alley book comes from Sam Grinberg, and it's called Scumburbia. I picked up issue number 2, but it looks like it's a book that you don't need to have read number 1 or number 2. You can jump on at any point and pick up this story. I picked this up at Floating World Comics when I was in Portland a few weeks ago. It says in the description here, Scumburbia by Sam Grinberg follows the adolescent antics of a handful of middle schoolers living in suburban sprawl. 8th grader Jug Handle's having a party, and he's invited all his friends. 7th graders Spike and Spunk can come too, if they can get their hands on some booze. Jug Handle's friends are having a problem with one particularly toxic friend and his abusive sense of humor. Expressive and stylized, Scumburbia is a fun chance to laugh at the hormone-charged years that exist between childhood and adulthood. Scumburbia number 2 deals pretty much like it says with Spike and Spunk, which are 2 incredibly funny characters. It's basically trying to find a way to score some booze and get invited to the 8th graders party, which, the cool kids party, right? At some point, there's a bomb threat at the school, and that somehow threatens to derail their search for the booze. They're dealing with this, part of the story, most of this is with them getting, trying to find booze for the party. But then there's also this other character they mentioned. I don't know if they even mentioned this character's name. I was trying to find it, but I couldn't pick it up. But this kid is just like this little sociopathic bully, and I'm sure a lot of people know this kid. I mean, I know this kid. I had a version of this. Everybody's got a version of this kid or some variation of this kid somewhere in their lives. And this, he's just the most toxic individual, and they're so completely self-unaware. And there's some of the kids are questioning, like, why do I hang out with this dude? I mean, what is it? I mean, I guess when you're younger, you don't really think about it, but as you get older, you kind of I've had this kind of person in my life before too, and you start to question, like, why am I this person's friend? what am I doing here? Why am I allowing myself to just be completely made miserable by being in this person, having this person in my life? So that's kind of a subtext there, and that story goes back and forth, as well as the hunt for the elusive booze to get into the party and to win the favor of the eighth graders. So, and I love Sam Grinberg's art as far as he uses lots of blacks, which is something I would love to use more in my own work. I strive to use them properly, and he uses them very well. This is perfect black and white comic making right here. It's well done. The story is great. It's funny. This is just a great book. I'm going to leave a link below where you can pick up Scumburbia at number 2, and hopefully subsequent issues too from this excellent cartoonist. And kudos to Sam Grinberg for making this thing that so many of us can relate to. So, man, that is it for this Indie Comics review. Man, good stuff this week. Every week I'm discovering things that I've missed the first time, and that just makes it that much more fun, I think. So be sure to leave a link, be sure to leave a like down below, hit the subscribe button, and turn notifications on if you'd like to know when I'm making my next video. So until next week, I'll see you guys in the funny papers. Hey, don't forget to subscribe and leave a thumbs up.